This is Kevin. He won Wheels Car of the Year in 1993. This is a 2JZ. You know the drill.
Welcome back to the Skid Factory. This is episode 3 of The Resurrection of Kevin.
Sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah, it could be. If you watched episode 2, you'll know what's gone into this 2JZ engine, which we've rebuilt down at Golebys. She's ready to drop in. If you didn't see it, it's probably up here.
Hang on, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's only taken 5 years, but... So you know what's inside the engine. Now we're going to go through what's going to be bolted on the outside of the engine, the fun bits that make it get all its air that it's required to make some power. And after we've done that, we might test fit it.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at all the good bits. Starting on the hot side of the engine, we've got a 6-boost exhaust manifold holding onto a Garrett G45 1300 turbo with a 115 exhaust housing. We went for the smaller compressor on the G45 turbo. There's a larger one, but we think this is going to supply all the air that we need for our goal, which is about 1200 horsepower. Controlling the boost pressure is a GFB EX50 wastegate. On the cold side, we've got a Plazmaman Race Series inlet manifold. It's got billet runners, hydroform plenum. It's got a burst panel, which we may have to use because we will be running nitrous oxide to bring the turbo up on the converter. And it's also got 12 injector capability, which we're going to use. We're going to have 2 different sized injectors and stage them in the software. Throttle body wise, it's got a flange for a Bosch 74mm throttle body, which we'll be using. In between the two, we've got a Plazmaman Pro Series intercooler. Again, beautiful piece out of Sydney from Plazmaman. It's got Wiggins style clamps on the end of it. Will be handy when we're running big boost pressures. The majority of this stuff is supplied by Golebys parts, as always. Bolted to the rear of the engine, we've got an ATF speed adapter plate that adapts from the 2JZ bell housing pattern to just basic GM turbo pattern or Powerglide pattern. This allows you to use just normal GM based converters, and it's just a lot easier than getting custom stuff made. It's also got provision for an engine plate mounting system, but which we're not going to use, but it's there anyway. Bolted to the crankshaft is this, well, you call it a flex plate, but it's not really. It's basically the ring gear and adapter to run from the 2JZ crankshaft over to a GM converter. We've got a 6-bolt converter, although it will do 3 bolts, which is standard sort of GM stuff. Converter-wise, we've got a Circle D bolt together. That's out of Texas, supplied by our friend Pete. And it also comes with a spare stator, so we can fine-tune the converter function if necessary. This is very handy when you've got a sort of engine that has very specific power delivery. So this is serious racer stuff, even though we're not serious racers. Behind the engine, we've got a Powerglide. This is a aftermarket case Powerglide built by Andrew Gilroy at GRT in Toowoomba. It's got all the good bits in it that I don't really know what they are, but brand new case, all new internals, and it's got obviously a trans brake, but it's also got a converter bleed set up on it that we will fit up. Again, all this is to get the relatively small 2JZ to work with a relatively large turbo. So all this stuff looks pretty good. We can bolt it all together and attempt to fit it in the car, and to do that, we're using Tuff mounts. Aussie made stuff. Actually make a kit to bolt a 2JZ straight into a VR Commodore. So it's amazing what you can get these days. So bolt them to the engine, drop the engine in, and go from there.
We've got some cleaning up to do first.
Yeah, a little bit. Can't we just put some, I don't know, can't you just paint over it?
There's 4X gold cans on the plenum, wiper plenum covering up holes.
That sounds like a Chris Ethel thing.
looks like something that Ethel would use to... No, I'm not going to go there.
Who drinks vanilla Coke? Honestly.
Why don't you just deadlift the engine in there, Gus?
Just chuck it straight in.
Gussie, you get the sledgehammer out, mate.
Stop. Hammer time.
Don't hit the engine block. Whoa, 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 that's heaps, that's heaps.
Didn't you deadlift 200?
You said don't hit the engine block.
I mentioned earlier about ease of doing things when it comes to a Commodore, and that's a pretty good example. 30 minutes and we've got the engines bolted in there on its mounts already pre-made, everything works. Little bash of the firewall of the tunnel as expected, just to get this box in, and then you're good to go. This, as we mentioned, is a Powerglide built by Andrew Gilroy at Gilroy Race Transmissions, which is up in Toowoomba.
How many speeds has it got?
It's got 3, 1 reverse. It's a 3-speed glide. There's a new one.
Yeah.
So it's a billet case. It's got all the internals are new. It's got like turbo 400 input shaft size. So it's pretty much got everything. You race it at about 1500 wheel horsepower for any engine basically. So should do the job for us, no worries. It's got a trans brake, of course, and it's also got the converted dump system, which is if you're having trouble getting it up on the brake, so getting the turbo spooled up on the trans brake, a converted dump system, it basically just pulls some of the efficiency out of the torque converter, makes it looser while you're operating it, and that can bring your engine speed up higher and get you on a boost. So that may get us out of having to use nitrous to get the turbo up, but we'll see. We've got all the gear that we need, and hopefully we'll be able to utilise it all.
Don't ruin my dreams of having nitrous. What?
I just have a compressed air thing that spurts out mist out of the bonnet.
Get a deodorant can on a switch.
From Brute 33. Why didn't you fix that? You're in charge of hammering.
I told you, hey, we're going to have to hammer this before you put that flex plate on. Let's belt it more. No, that's okay. It'll just slip in behind there.
You were in charge of hammering.
Gus was in charge of hammering.
No, you were in charge of Gus hammering because...
Righto, delegation.
That's right.
87.1.
Yeah, that's pretty close. Don't be scratching that damn. Bend your knees. Pretty much all Commodores right from day dot have got multiple bolt patterns for transmissions in the like the rail. So because they have so many different engines in them and gearboxes, so it gives you good options for moving the cross member back and forward to suit whatever your application is. We got lucky, it pretty much just move it forward onto the forward mount and it lines up as good as we ever expect for stuff that we're doing. That is just a Trimatic, so or Aussie 4-speed, so HQ onwards gearbox mount. Just about every part shop will have one in stock. It's very, very common. I bolt straight onto a Powerglide. I use them quite a bit. So what we've done here is just bolted it on, and I've got a bolt, so it's a 7/16 UNC, and just cut the end off it and put in a drill and ran it on the linisher and made a point. So this is how we're going to find our center point for the actual, because it's down inside this cross member, it's pretty hard to get at to see where it's actually located. So we put that in there, then I'll bolt this up, lower that down, and then we'll give it a whack from underneath, and that will leave like a punch hole, and that will be our reference point for where the bolt hole is. So then we can either just measure across and drill the second hole, or we can repeat it on the other side if we're really worried about it. It's pretty much straight, so it should be right to just measure across and go straight across and drill another hole. So let's do it.
Give it a whack or a wallop?
A whack. Whip. These are barra bolts. I'm not sure what part of the engine they're from, but they're very nice.
Sacrilege.
Not really, we're not putting a barra in it. I don't know, what's okay these days?
Yeah, keep that.
I will. So right about now it's probably time to crack open a lemon squash and get stuck into some Instagram posts about your new project.
Give me your best hashtag.
Hashtag 2GZ. Hashtag finished in one day.
Yeah.
What we're actually doing now is scoping out what space we got and that sort of thing. The Rod that owned it before, he said he had a big dump pipe in it, like 5-inch, but he must have been using an A340 bell housing with a pump adapter, which is what most people used to do back in the olden days before these were this well supported with adapter block adapters and that sort of thing. So because the Powerglide bell housing is a lot bigger, there's definitely, we're not going to be able to put anything that big through there. We'll probably fit a 3.5-inch through in there somewhere, but that's a bit small for this size turbine. So we're just going to have to figure out our options. You know, we don't mind getting stuck in and moving things around and whatnot. So we obviously this going away is the first thing that we consider, which is no big deal. You can put a brake master cylinder inside the car, no problem at all. Like, it's not, we just pretend it's a high ace or something like that. It's easy. So we also considered maybe going for like just having a normal exhaust, like a road exhaust, and then a valve sort of thing where you can have a side exit exhaust or whatever. That's obviously a lot of work as well. We know it works because Benny did it on the Fox body when it came to Australia, just to make it a bit more nice to drive. To stop and getting put in jail, probably more to the point. So yeah, it's all doable, but we just got to sit and stare and have a look and see what we think will work the best. We are thinking about, or probably going to put a dry sump on this. Some people have good luck with front sumps, some people don't. We know people that have gone either way, and losing their engine is not really what we want, just from oil surge, or probably more to the point, just not being able to race it because it'll just keep cutting out every time that it loses oil pressure with Haltech protection. So because we had reasonable luck with the dry sump on the Hakko, we've given it to Denny, and he is designing one up. It's a pretty simple casting really, so he's having a look at that, and we've got another friend that might be keen on one as well. I've already got a 3-stage plus pressure pump that I bought years ago that we might use, or we might just change it to a 3-stage scavenge and use the internal oil pump, because there's nothing wrong with the oil pump in them. It's just when they've got a front sump, when you're drag racing them, all the oil wants to go to the back every time you let the trans brake button off, so that's the real issue with it. Radiator wise, I've just measured up the radiator in the crown, which is what is it, R32 or something?
Is it S15 or something?
No, it's R32, which is the same sort of thing as S13. They're all pretty much the same. But anyway, it'll fit, so we won't bother with the Commodore radiator because its outlets are all completely wrong for what we're doing, and they're not that great anyway. So
those outlets are swapped on that for this too, aren't they?
They're both on the wrong side, so
it doesn't matter anyway.
It'll be all over the place. But an S14 radiator has got everything on the correct side, so we'll probably just go with something like that off eBay because they're cheap and they work. So, and if we want to get a better one later, we can.
There we go.
So the car's pretty easy to work with, which is pretty much what we expected. So we're pretty happy about that. We're just sort of thinking about how we're going to fix all the big holes and stuff in it. It's got so many holes from all its history that we're not sure what they're all for, but we'll work out what to do with them. It's got a date with Matt for a diff, so we'll have to work that out as well.
Maybe we can get Matt to make us some fancy tubs or something too. Well, we have got that parts car, we can use that.
Yeah, we can cut that out if it's not rusted away.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, we've got a few options, but everything's looking good. It all bolts in thanks to the Tuff mounts and drilling 2 holes in the factory cross members, so pretty stoked about that.
What about that fresh t-shirt that we haven't designed yet that may be designed by the time this video's out? What's the discount code for one? You
can buy that at www.theskidfactory.com.
Do you have a discount code for
5
percentage off?
What is it? 5.
What about Kevin07 for 7% off?
Kevin07.
I don't know. Yes, no?
Kevin93.
Kevin93. And that'll get you some kind of % off if you use that code.
Kevin93.
Store wide. Yeah? Can we do that?
Kevin07 was a pretty sick tagline.
It was.
That rhymes like mint.
Oh, we should get those PPQ plates.
Kevin. I'm not. What about KEV19?
Kev19? Huh?
Kevin. 9 is N.
Is it? Righto.
Close enough.
Come on, man. Let's wrap this up, homie. Let's go.
All right.
Kevin93 for discount code, limited edition Kevin shirts in the store. May or may not be there because we haven't designed one yet.
I'm not going to design it, but we might be able to find someone to do it.
Sure.
What will it be, though?
I got an idea. That's why I just said it.
Just a picture of a 2JZ?
Yeah.
That'll sell. All right, that's all we got. We got a bit done. We talked a lot of shit, but that's pretty much what we do, so... Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, have a great time.
Whip it good. I had one of these for a while. Bro, come here, look.
Did you do that on purpose?
No.
Damn. I was going to use that. What about that?
Don't ever tell me that you've got a 2-speed Powerglide. All Powerglides have got 2 speeds.
Righto, you're going to say 2-speed Powerglide yourself, which is what you say.
Don't say 2
Everyone says it.
I know. I went to the ATM machine and got a rat test.
What?
So I could go and buy my 2-speed Powerglide. Anywho. Bend your knees!